Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace. We were on the 7th verse. What's going on here? Lakshmidhara Kavi, the author, he says, just look at your own experience. You exist. And this existence is always a revealed existence, a self-shining existence. So, I exist, I shine. Not momentarily, all the time. And I am also the source of my continued and deepest satisfaction or happiness. So this is Sat Chit Ananda. And Brahman is defined as Sat Chit Ananda. Therefore I am Brahman. Then questions will arise. But Brahman is the cause of the entire universe. We find in the books, are you the cause of the entire universe? Cause means the material out of which this whole universe is made. And then he shows, yes, I am the cause. In each case there are arguments. I am not going to rehearse the arguments here. So that translation is Tejamayana's translation? Yes. So I am not going to rehearse the arguments here, but we must do it ourselves. That's the real value of the book. That I am Brahman, you are existence, consciousness, bliss, or you are limitless awareness. This is the well known, this is the teaching of Vedanta. But what are the arguments to back it up? Arguments, not just speculative, they're all based on experience, our own lived experience. Notice also, at no point does he appeal to any mystical experience. He's always pointing out something always continuously available to us. You just have to be discerning enough to notice it. So, yes, you are the cause of the entire universe as consciousness, because the universe appears in you, that's the argument. Then the next question was, but Brahman is eternal. Are you eternal? Aren't you born? Won't you die? And then he shows, yes, I am eternal as consciousness. Consciousness is not born, consciousness does not die. And he shows how I could be eternal. Because, what was the argument there? How can something be destroyed? He takes up 3 ways in something which can be destroyed. Something can be destroyed, and he shows you cannot be destroyed in any of those 3 ways. And why? What are the 3 ways? And what are the arguments to show that consciousness, it does not apply to consciousness. It does not apply to the sense of I am. So, that's the answer to the question, are you eternal? Yes, being indestructible, I must be eternal. The next question is that, but Brahman is all-pervading. Are you all-pervading? Doesn't seem so. And he shows, yes, I am all-pervading as consciousness. And remember the argument? Experience requires contact with consciousness, just like seeing requires contact with light. Though I think that there are these people here, tables and chairs here, and the carpet here, but I'm missing one thing. All of this is illumined by light. But none of them are luminous. They're not luminous. They're not shining, they're not radiating light. So where did that light come from? Clearly there's light. So that light must have come from something that's a source of light, something that is luminous there. That's obviously a source of light. All of this I experience, I can see because it's lit up by contact with light, reflecting light. But that's not lit up because of contact with light. That's not lit up because it's reflecting light. It's radiating light. Similarly, consciousness is Swaprakash, self-luminous. It illumines everything in our lives, and it does not require another consciousness to know consciousness. It is self-luminous. So this self-luminous consciousness illumines everything in our lives. Therefore, it's all-pervasive, and you have to work out the details there. For example, the question, there are so many things that I don't know. So how is consciousness pervading all of them? Remember the answer? Things are known and unknown, both are appearing in consciousness. If that's not clear, I mentioned this example a number of times. Follow this example. to show how unknown things are also in your consciousness. You might say, in what sense are you using the word consciousness? Consciousness means I'm conscious of something. True, but you're conscious of everything in the universe as right now unknown. Unknown means I'm not seeing it, hearing it, smelling it, tasting it, understanding it, remembering it. It's just a uniform unknowingness. But it's the object of my unknowingness. And unknown to whom? To consciousness. So it's appearing to consciousness in consciousness. The example is this. Our senior most member in New York, Bill Conrad, he's 99 years old this month. He was a pilot in the Second World War in the Pacific Theater. I mean, he's a navigator on a bomber. And he has got this question. He doesn't get how can everything be in consciousness. He is what one might call in Vedanta a Srishti Drishtivadi. The universe has been created. God, Big Bang, whatever you call it. And we are popped into this universe for a brief moment. And we are somehow conscious. And this consciousness objectifies already existing, pre-existing universe. The universe, samsara, is what doctors might call pre-existing condition. So, yeah, it's a condition, it's an illness. It's a pre-existing illness we have got. Now, says Swami, it's not true that this room is in your consciousness. Room exists, whether you are conscious of it or not. We as conscious beings come into the room and we experience the room. The room is not in your consciousness. And I said, then he said, I will prove it to you, Swami. I will set up the camera. I'll set up a camera and we'll record the room. We will leave the room. And when we come back into the room, I will show you the pictures in the camera. It will show you an empty room without any conscious being. And the room is existing as it always has existed. So it's not in your consciousness, not even related to consciousness. You come as a conscious being, you experience the room. That's it. Just like this light is illuminating the room. If you switch off the light, room still exists, unilluminated. The room is not in light. When you switch it on, only then the room is in the light. But otherwise, room can exist happily without the light. Then I said to him, Bill, in your consciousness, you set up this experiment. In your consciousness, we left this room. In your consciousness, we came back into this room. In your consciousness, you showed me the pictures in the camera showing an empty room. At which point have you left your consciousness? The distinction is between known and unknown. At one point, my consciousness working through the body-mind made this room known. When I left the room, my consciousness working through body-mind could not make this room known because it's beyond the range of my senses. But it remained to me as an unknown thing. Not right now an object of my knowledge, maybe object of my memory, but not my direct knowledge. And when I came back into the room, consciousness itself, working through the mind and eyes and all, revealed to me the room as visual perception. That's one kind of knowledge. It's even not true to say the room is in my knowledge. Our knowledge, specific knowledge, through senses, is so minimal. How much do we know? We just know the surface of this room, a few shapes and colors. That's all, a sense of depth. That's all. A good deal of it is actually constructed by the mind. Those who work on visual perception, they know how much of what we are seeing actually is put together and generated by the mind. It works like a very powerful VR machine, virtual reality machine. It takes in information from outside, but then constructs this apparently very integrated reality. Anyway, so consciousness pervades everything. Everything is either known to consciousness or unknown to consciousness, but it is revealed to consciousness as known and unknown. Then the final one, another objection comes. But Brahman, so everything is pervaded by consciousness. I am consciousness, I pervade everything, therefore I am Brahman. Then the next objection was that Brahman is non-dual, Advaitam. Non-dual means there should be no second entity apart from Brahman. Are you non-dual? Then he will show, yes, I am non-dual, and therefore I am Brahman. We did that last time, yesterday. Let me just quickly rehearse what we did because I felt I was not clear enough. Let me just chant the mantra, you can follow, chant the shloka. We will follow after me. So the mantras are sacred and they are technically, Vedas have mantras. And everything else, even Bhagavad Gita, we refer to them as shloka. The verses are shlokas. Mantras are always sacred. Shlokas are also sacred depending upon the origin, but the Vedic mantras have a special status. Anyway, the shloka, the verse. Nahi bhanadrite sattvam, nahi bhanadrite sattvam, narte bhanam chito chitaha, narte bhanam chito chitaha, chit sambandho vinadhyasad, chit sambandho vinadhyasad, rite tenaham advayah, existence of things, you cannot speak about them, they will not be revealed unless they shine. But non-luminous things will not shine unless they are in contact with consciousness. But these non-luminous things, the objects, cannot be in contact with consciousness. He says, Chit sambandho api na adhyasa. Chit sambandho api na. There can be no contact with consciousness. Just think about it. I happily give examples of light, even the author gives examples of light illumining things. But one-way object, light is a physical thing after all. And these objects are all physical things. And light and object can interact because that's one object and this is another object. But how do the subject and object interact? How do two things which are entirely different, how will they come in contact also? See, light can illumine these objects because light is reflected off them. But how will consciousness illumine its objects? Where is the point of contact between consciousness and an object? One must appreciate this question to see that it is impossible actually. A simpler form of this question bedeviled Descartes when he said mind and body are two different things. Then the question was, how does the mind and body interact? Clearly they are interacting. I am thinking, I will raise my hand, I raise my hand. I am thinking of some words, now I speak those words. So the mind and the vocal cord and the tongue and all, they interacted. But how? You will say, oh, we don't know, through the brain and the nervous system. But how does the mind interact with the brain? Where? So the philosopher Descartes, he had a very intelligent student. She was a princess, Elizabeth I think her name was. So she used to write long letters in those days and with questions, philosophical questions, and he would reply. And she said that, please excuse my poor understanding, I am a woman after all. That's the way women used to write in those days. And they wouldn't write at all, but if they did, you are a great philosopher, I am a woman after all, my intellect is poor, but I don't understand how the mind which you are speaking of and the body which is physical, how do they interact? Where do they interact? See, the point of interaction will be either mental or physical. They interact at this point. Is it part of the body or is it part of the mind? You see, on this side it is mind, and that side it is body. But this side and that side, where do they meet? Is it mind or body? How will they interact? So, he replied his famous theory, if you look it up. So there is a part of the brain called the pineal gland. So he says that's where the mind and body interact. That's his idea. And then she replied, I'm sorry to be so foolish, woman's brain, but that pineal gland is part of the brain. I don't see how the mind will interact with that. The same question remains. Descartes had no answer actually. He was squirming. He wrote back, well, actually there are vapors in that pineal gland. Vapor. The vapor is a little less physical than the pineal gland. And the mind thoughts push the vapor and the vapor pushes the body. No, it was 300 years ago, so it didn't have brain science. But in principle, we haven't moved one step beyond that. In principle, that's the hard problem of consciousness. We have not moved one step beyond that, beyond Descartes. That's why any course on philosophy of mind in any philosophy department, it starts with Descartes. I wrote in an assignment at the Harvard Philosophy Department that it seems to me the philosophy of mind as it exists now has not advanced substantially since Descartes, 300 years. What has happened since Descartes is this, especially in the last 100 years. All the papers, if you see, they fall in two categories. On one side, mind consciousness, and on the other side, the body. So what is the relationship? One kind of a paper is always trying to reduce mind to body. So mind is a product of brain processes. Or some philosophers say, mind is just a linguistic. There is a whole fashion of linguistic philosophy in Oxford in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s. It's gone out of fashion now. It's just a way of speaking. There's no such thing as mind. It's all body. You might think it's silly, but that's how they try to argue. So it's not, there's no such separate reality called mind. Either it is brain, or it's just a linguistic fiction, or they will say it's behavior. At one time, Skinner influenced psychology so much in America. Psychology, dealing with the psyche, with the mind, what they said was, don't deal with the mind. All they are interested in observable behavior. Observable behavior. Physical. Another attempt was to show that the mind is behavior, language, neuroscience, brain activity, like that. Something reducing the mind to something else. And this is one group of papers. These are all important papers. And the other group of papers by other philosophers were saying that, sorry guys, it doesn't work. None of this is convincing. The mind is not just brain. Mind is not just language. Mind is not just behavior. We all experience mind. So you can't pull a fast one on us. If you're talking about superstrings, black hole, this esoteric stuff, except physicists, mathematicians, nobody understands it. So you can tell me whatever, I have to solve it. Or I have to do a lot of, like a PhD in physics, cosmology to try to understand it. But mind, we all have minds. You can't say there is no mind. So this is the state of the philosophy of mind. Shankaracharya picked up on this 1200 years ago. How can consciousness and matter interact? He says they are as opposite as light and darkness. Tamat prakashavad viruddha swabhavayo. That which is the object of, that which is meant by the cognition I or we, I, asmad yusmad, and that which is meant by the cognition you or this, these two are absolutely different. Subject and object are absolutely different, like light and darkness. And there should be no mixing up of the two, no possibility of interaction. And yet all our life is based on interaction between consciousness and matter. In our own bodies. Continuously. You are the conscious being, you are interacting with mind and body all the time. So how is it possible? And the answer he came to was the Advaitic answer, which I mentioned yesterday. Yesterday what I did was I traced the sort of a synoptic view of Indian philosophy. What do different schools of Indian philosophy say about relationship between consciousness and matter? The materialist will say that consciousness is born of matter, object. The theist will say that matter is born of consciousness, God created the universe. The Sankhya's will say consciousness and matter are parallel, neither is born of the other, they interact. But then this question you will ask, how? How do they interact? Then the fourth option was this sampling, because every school of Indian philosophy has its view of consciousness. Then the Buddhist Shunyavadi, they say neither consciousness nor matter is real and neither is born of the other. They arise in codependence and they sink back together. Advaita Vedantin says that the only way, the only relationship possible between consciousness and matter, consciousness and object, subject and object, is superimposition. What is superimposition? Where they are the same thing, it is one thing appearing as the other. So you, the subject, are appearing as your object. It's like the snake and the rope. The snake is superimposed on the rope. Superimposed does not mean physically imposed. This is on the hand, and the book is kept on the hand. Not like that. Not that there is a rope and a snake has been put on it. Not like that. It's the rope itself appearing as the snake. The rope itself appearing as the snake. It is the sky itself appearing as blue. It's not that the sky has been painted blue. It looks blue, but the space itself has never become blue. So, this is the theory of superimposition. In Sanskrit, it is called adhyasa. Adhyasa. The only way consciousness and matter can interact is if matter is superimposed on consciousness. Consciousness, in other words, just like snake is superimposed on rope, That means rope is appearing as snake. Matter is superimposed on consciousness, means consciousness is appearing as matter. You might say, why not the other way around? That's what a materialist says. Materialist says that matter is appearing as consciousness. Why not the other way around? Because multiple reasons are there. Because if, we have a direct experience of consciousness, and consciousness appears to you, and matter appears to you in consciousness. I am the subject. The starting point should be me, not the object. You see, why we tend to start with the object in any scientific investigation? Because that's how science works. From early on, about 300-400 years ago, the founders of science, modern science, discovered that you should leave the subject out of any kind of study. Otherwise it interferes with the study. Being subjective is a dirty word in science. Be objective. And that worked very well because you are studying objects. You are studying living beings, you are studying rocks, you are studying stars, and everything in this universe is an object. But the problem arises when you start studying the subject. Now your whole procedure for the last 300, 400 years has been to study something. When you study scientifically, it means it must be an object. But suppose there is something that's not an object, but your procedure means it forces you to think of it as an object. Fashion. We are going to study consciousness. How? Very interesting to study consciousness in octopus. Doesn't it strike you as very contrary? I am conscious, I have direct experience of consciousness right here. Leave that aside. Go and look for consciousness in octopus and then study it. Why? It's because of the principle in science that you must study something objectively. You'll never find it there. You will find the objective correlates of consciousness, but you'll never find consciousness itself directly. That's what a Vedanta or any system of Vedanta, Buddhism or Sankhya, they will say this. So, the consciousness is directly available to us, and matter appears in consciousness. I quote sometimes this article written by the philosopher Strawson. He was in UT Austin, I think, but he's retired now, I heard. I never met him, but I just read a little bit of his work. There's a book, Things That Trouble Me. Very honest book. After a whole lifetime in studying science and philosophy, so there are certain things which don't make sense. And he's got this book, Things Which Trouble Me or Things Which Puzzle Me. So he wrote this article in the New York Times, The Hard Problem of Matter. He says we are going on talking about hard problem of consciousness, but there is no hard problem of consciousness because consciousness is directly present to all of us. We are all conscious right now. What Lakshmidhara Kavi said, Aham asmi sada bhami. I am all the time. This is clear to me. This is clear to me first, and then everything else comes. My mind, body, world, people, they come later. But I shine first. If that was not there, nothing would come. I wouldn't exist basically. So, he says, we are conscious first. That's our first data. And then matter is something that appears to us in consciousness. We see, hear, smell, taste, touch. We look through microscope, telescope. This is how matter appears to us. So the question really should be, the mystery, hard problem is, what is matter? And that's what physics is investigating. And then he says, as we investigate matter, it is vanishing before our very eyes. From atoms to subatomic particles to subnuclear particles also. Like now you've gone to quarks, and now they're talking about superstrings and whatnot. It's vanishing. Matter is disappearing into mathematics. I gave a talk about this. It from bit from chit. So, matter and consciousness cannot interact. The reasons for this, if you want to study it, understand it more seriously, why not? I recommend Shankaracharya's Adhyasa Bhashya. It's the introductory essay to the Brahma Sutras. So the Advaitic solution is that it's a superimposition. Matter is an appearance in consciousness. and nothing but consciousness. Superimposition means the snake is an appearance in the rope, and it is nothing but the rope. It's a rope which appears to you as a snake. It is the gold which appears to you as the ornaments. You might say at this point, you are very smoothly moving from the snake rope example to the gold ornament clay pot example. But there are two different examples. This bothered me for a long time. The snake rope example is never used in the Upanishads. It's clay and pot, it is gold and ornaments, iron and iron implements, and so on. Example, one must take what is meant there. Sri Ramakrishna said, Upama Ekdeshi. Examples are meant to point out one particular thing. Is as brave as a lion. So I found out later, lions are not particularly brave. It's the lionesses who hunt and fight and do everything. The lion just sleeps most of the time and yawns. And anyway, as brave as a lion. Just because you use that example, as brave as a lion, it doesn't mean that the person who is as brave as a lion will walk around on all fours and will growl and jump at you and eat you up. No. It just means the person is brave. It's one point. We are making one point. Similarly, when we say gold and ornaments, all that we mean is the ornaments are nothing but gold. Even when they have been given a new form, new name, necklace, new form, new name, necklace, new use, put it on your neck, it's still the same gold. That's all that is meant. Because what we normally think is, oh, the gold is transformed into the ornament. But the rope just appears as the snake. So there are two different examples. This difference is not meant, at least in Advaita Vedanta. Okay. So, appearance. Without superimposition, the point is, without superimposition, there can be no interaction between consciousness and matter. If consciousness and matter do not interact, then matter would not be revealed. But matter is being revealed. Therefore, consciousness and matter are interacting. What's the only interaction possible? Superimposition. Consciousness is appearing as matter. Let me repeat that. What is matter? It is that which appears to consciousness, one. In consciousness, two. As consciousness. Consciousness is appearing as matter to you. You are appearing to yourself as the universe. What you experience as the universe is you. I, consciousness, am appearing as all of this. Now, what's the point he is making here? Notice, that which is superimposed is nothing other than the ground of superimposition. This is the philosophical way of saying the snake is nothing other than the rope. So when you count, though you are speaking of snake and rope, you are speaking of two things, but when you count, you can count only one thing. You can't say that there is a rope and there is a snake. There isn't. There is just the rope. It's not countably two. Therefore, it is non-dual. What is non-dual? The rope. But that's not the non-duality we are talking about. That's rope Advaita. What we are talking about is Brahma Advaita. Brahman is non-dual. So you as consciousness, you are experiencing the universe. That only proves that consciousness and the universe are interacting. You are interacting with the body, mind. But only way interaction is possible if this body, mind and universe are appearing in you and as nothing but you. They are superimposed in you. Without superimposition, no interaction between consciousness and matter is possible. If they are superimposed, then consciousness and matter are not two things. This is where Advaita goes beyond Sankhya. It becomes non-duality. It's not two things. It's one thing. What is that one thing? Consciousness. That consciousness is non-dual. Though it appears as two, it's not two. But you are consciousness, so you are non-dual. Brahman is non-dual. You are Brahman. Now look at the verse. Nahi bhanadrite sattvam. You cannot talk about the existence of the universe unless it is illumined by consciousness, unless it shines. Narite bhanam chitavachita. Achit, the non-luminous, the object, the entire universe, body and mind, they cannot be revealed unless they are illumined by consciousness. Object cannot be revealed unless object will not shine unless consciousness, unless they are illumined by consciousness. Chit sambandho vina, but the objects cannot come in contact with consciousness unless adhyasa vrite. Vrite means without superimposition. So the objects are superimposed on consciousness. So what? What's the point of this chain of argument? Then if they are superimposed, the superimposed object is not a countable second. You cannot say consciousness, universe, two things are there. No, consciousness alone is a clearness to the universe. Proof, take away consciousness, no universe. So, you are non-dual. Brahman is non-dual. Therefore you are Brahman. Proved. Now, we are going to change the subject. What's going to happen? We have now answered, hopefully, to some satisfaction, questions about the that Brahman is the cause of all, and I am the cause of all, so I am Brahman. Brahman is eternal, but I am also eternal, so I am Brahman. Brahman is all-pervading, but I am also all-pervading, therefore I am Brahman. Brahman is non-dual, but I am non-dual. I have shown this, so therefore I am Brahman. Now, alright, so what you are arguing is, the author is arguing is, you are existence, consciousness, bliss, eternal, nityam, all-pervading, sarvagata, or sarvapyapi, non-dual, Advaita, Sarvapriyananda, the cause of all. Good. Now, the question will say, in that case, why does it feel like that? I don't even, let alone know it, is the first time I am hearing about this. And even if I hear about it, it doesn't feel like that. Why not? What's the problem? If I am Brahman, it should be obvious, but I am not, it's not obvious. Don't say that table and wood, that's pretty obvious. But Brahman and body, mind, universe, it's not obvious. Why not? And the answer will be, because of our ignorance which has led to this, you have to point out something that is clear. It has led to this identification with body, mind. This strong identification with body, mind makes me feel, I am this. Where is Brahman? It's like a person who's looking through a microscope and becomes so absorbed in that petri dish, has forgotten the world and the body and thinks that's the reality. You need to step back from the microscope. What's the microscope? Body, senses, mind. And I, consciousness, am so focused to the body, senses, mind that I have become identified. I think I am the microscope and the universe is that petri dish. That's all. I have to step back. The microscope is an instrument. The petri dish is an object. I am the conscious subject, the researcher, the scientist, quite apart from the petri dish. Quite apart, petri dish, where bacteria and all are studied. So I am this, and apart from it, there's a vast reality that's just tiny. That's an example. I'm giving an example. That's what has happened to us. So we must learn to see ourselves as not body, not mind. And that's going to happen now. So basically, he will now be dealing with problems which we are right now facing. That which is not making something, this Advaitic truth obvious to us. It isn't obvious. Why not? Because of these problems. Two levels of problems. One is identification with body, mind, intellect, which he will dismiss in one verse. Then, in the next several verses, the last subtle identification is with I. See, you're saying I am. So our typical, our usual reaction would be, so you mean the ego. I am is a thought. There's a difference between the thought I am and the Atman. There's a difference between the ego and consciousness. The ego is a thought, it's a function of the mind. But what's the ego? I. And it will happily say I am. So I am not the ego. That subtle distinction has to be made very carefully, forensically, precisely. That he will do over several verses. But first, the easy, quote unquote, easy stuff. Not body, not mind. Verse 8. Na deho nendriyam chaham, na deho nendriyam chaham, na prano no mano na dhihi, na prano na mano na dhihi, mamata parirabdhatvad, akridatvad idam dhiyah, am neither the body nor the senses, neither life force nor mind, nor intelligence. Out of playfulness, the sense of mind has embraced the idea of this. Alright, before I go into this verse, most Vedanta texts will spend a lot of time carefully distinguishing consciousness from all of this. Physical body, subtle body, causal body, or the physical sheath, kosha sheath, which is called the food sheath, and the pranic sheath, the physiological processes in this body, and the mental sheath, thoughts, emotions, memories, and the intellect sheath, which we are using to understand all this. There are sheaths. Sheaths cover something. Kosha. Kosha means achadaka, to cover. So the idea is, imagine all of these covering the Atman. And then beyond the intellect sheath is the causal sheath, which we experience as blankness in deep sleep, Anandamaya. Beyond that is the Atman. To distinguish this, that's what most of Vedanta books, mostly they spend a lot of time doing that. Here only in one verse he dismisses it. So I'll give you a schematic, sort of analytical picture of what this worldview means self-view is like, what we are according to the eyes of Vedanta. Picture is helpful. Picture is diagram. Often one can hide one's confusion in words. But when you try to draw out what you're thinking, immediately confusion is revealed. So, let me make consciousness purple. I used to draw this diagram when I was in the monastery in India teaching the monastic novices, the brahmacharis. So this is consciousness with a capital C. I'm making it. The novices, they are mischievous, just like schoolboys. They would say, "Oh, where's Brahman? It's on the left side of the board in Sarvapriyananda's class. It's always there." And when I drew this, I'm very poor at drawing. So sometimes the novices would ask, "Swami, is that a centipede?" Or no, it's supposed to be a sun. Oh, I see, a purple sun. And then this is consciousness, Atman, Brahman, whatever you call it. And then there is the veil of ignorance. And then there is the subtle body. And then there is the physical body. And then, give him eyes, nose, smile. And then there is, of course, a cactus. And then there are mountains. Alright. So this is causal body. Subtle body. Physical body. I think it's often translated in our text as gross body. But in America, the meaning of the word gross has changed. Gross used to just mean physical, but now it's gross. It is gross also, the physical body, by the way. Especially what's inside the body. Outside it may be all very pretty and nice, but inside if you open it up, it's mostly gross. Gross body, or physical body. And the cactus stands for all living beings, other living beings, people, animals, plants, and then there are non-living things like mountains and stars and dust and whatnot. Alright. And here you have mind, intellect, prana, all of these. All of these is subtle body. If you, let's just say Atman, consciousness. Now, if you are interested in the 5 sheets which we talked about, in that sense, in that case, you divide it like this. Annamaya kosha, the food sheath. And then here in the subtle body you have three sheets: Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya. The vital sheet, the mental sheet, the intellect sheet. And then the causal body is called the Anandamaya. According to Advaita Vedanta, everything from this causal body here is the Anandamaya, or the subtle body, physical body, the other living beings, non-living beings, entire universe is superimposed on the Atman. The Atman is illumining all of this. But it cannot illumine because they cannot come in contact. So all this must be an appearance in the Atman. This is called superimposition. So how many are there? Don't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. One. And appearing as so many. Appearing to whom? To itself. Where? In itself. Won't you count them? You can't. Just as in your dreams, when you dream of people and places, and then you ask to count how many people were there in your dreams and how many places, you have to say, really speaking, you might say 20 or 30 people I met. Really? No, there's only you. And interesting, in your dream you don't appear. The one which appears as you in the dream is also part of the dream. The real you, the dreamer, does not appear in the dream. So just like that, consciousness is, as pure consciousness, not evident anywhere in the world of objects. Whether you investigate an octopus or cactus, is consciousness there in cactus or in the brain of this guy, it will not appear. Even in the mind, it will not appear. What appears in the mind is called reflected consciousness. Consciousness appears in the mind as reflected consciousness. It shines. The mind, intellect, and all of these shine. This is called Chidabhasa. Now,
where is mind?
Mind is here in the subtle body.
Maya?
Oh, Maya is this. Buddhi is the intellect. Yes, but before Buddhi is Maya, is the causal body. So these are all in orders of subtlety. This is an object out there, the universe, which you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, with the help of the physical organs here, and the powers of those organs, the indriyas, the sense powers, are all in the subtle body. So the subtle body comprises of three sheets: Pranamaya, the pranic sheet, the vital sheet; Manomaya, mind, emotion, memory, all of that; and the Vijnanamaya, the intellect, the buddhi, including the ego. All of this is here. And the I thought, the ego, it's all here. It's actually in the buddhi. I, ego. Alright. So this is how Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta views this. Just dwell on it. The entire external universe, we sense it through our five senses. And then we think about it. We remember, think, desire, hate, understand it through the mind, intellect. The whole thing is powered by prana. Prana means the vital energy. Keeps the body alive, powers our mind, our senses. It's like the battery pack. So it's there. So we are this plus this. So this is the jiva. Who is the jiva? Sentient being. Us, right now. What's the view of Advaita view of us? It's body, subtle body, causal body, and behind it all the Atman. Never leave this out. If you leave this out, the I am is gone. Everything will disappear. That's why I have drawn them in different colors. What are we now? Pure consciousness, veiled by this causal body. And beyond the causal body appears the mind. And pure consciousness is reflected in the mind as reflected consciousness. That's what we feel as consciousness right now. It's not the Atman or Brahman. This reflected consciousness here in the mind is just like looking at your face in the mirror. What's your real face? Your real face is here. What are you seeing? Not the real face, a reflection of your real face in the mirror. Where is pure consciousness? You are pure consciousness. But where do you feel consciousness? In the mind, right now. We all feel conscious. Mind feels conscious. And after the mind feels conscious, the senses are lit up by consciousness. And then the body and the world are revealed to us.
Can you explain the causal body part?
Yeah, the causal body is what we experience in deep sleep. Who asked the question? Yes. The causal body is what we experience in deep sleep. So in the waking world, you are there as pure consciousness. And the causal body is there, the subtle body is active, and the physical body is active. And you experience the world of your physical body. When you fall asleep, the physical body falls asleep. But you live, you are experiencing everything in the mind, subtle body. When you go into deep sleep, that's a dream world. When you go into deep sleep, physical body is inactive, mind shuts down, and you are only experiencing the causal body. To understand what the causal body is, what it feels like, just think about your deep sleep experience. So in the causal body, there is no experience of the external world, there is no experience of mind, no dreaming, but all impressions of the subtle body are retained in the causal body, like seed. And so when you wake up, the mind comes up with the same ego, same problem, same memory, same tendencies, samskaras, it comes back again. So it's all there in the causal body. Yes. So Vedanta Sara says, this we have to memorize. This is the fundamental tenet of Advaita Vedanta. Vastu Satchidananda Madvayam Brahma Ajnanadi Sakala Jala Samuha Avastu. What does that mean? Reality is existence, consciousness, bliss. Brahma, this one. Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, non-dual. The moment you say non-dual, then what are all these? There are appearances, superimpositions. Now, and as you said, other than Brahman, if you see them other than Brahman, causal body, subtle body, physical body, and millions of physical bodies, millions of subtle bodies, millions of causal, billions of causal bodies, and the physical universe, they are all appearances. They are not real. Avastu. But you can experience them like a movie or a dream. Our problem is we don't think they are movies or dreams. We think they're absolutely solid, real, just like this. Yes, just like this, that's also the same. But this and that, both are appearing in consciousness. What is the clue? Your clue is all of this is revealed to you only when you experience it. Somehow the reality of this depends upon you. A monk once asked me, rhetorically, I hope it is rhetorical, because he was with one foot on the temple stairs and about to go into the temple. He looked at me, this Advaita of yours, how dare it claim the world is unreal? I see the world, I see the temple, I see the sky and the sun and the river. The Ganga was flowing by nearby. How, if I see it, how can it be unreal? My answer, I didn't tell him. It was quite his temple visit. But what is the clue? What are you, listen to what you are saying, Swami. I see, I see, I see. I say, yes, so? But somehow this I see is the basis of all your claims about the reality of the world. But I see is consciousness. Yes. Correct. Yes.
Right. So, in order to end
yes, that's right. That's Maya. What does Maya do? This causal body, because I'm talking about an individual. But all causal bodies put together is Maya. All causal bodies put together, this is Vedanta. All causal bodies put together is Maya. So, see, consciousness plus one causal body is you in deep sleep. That's our condition in deep sleep. This same consciousness with all causal bodies together is Ishvara, God, Saguna Brahman. That's the definition. Same consciousness. That's why now you realize, Tattvamasi, you are that. In what sense does it make, in what sense it is used? Apart from the causal bodies and all of this, you and Ishvara are one consciousness. Same thing. Follow this. You in deep sleep, your consciousness limited by this causal body. That's what we experience. We don't see ourselves as consciousness at all. That's because we are not enlightened. The enlightened ones, they will know that I am consciousness regardless of waking, dreaming, deep sleep. It will all come to it. So, in dreams what happens? You are this one consciousness limited by this causal body and the dreams in the subtle body. Subtle body has now become active. The seeds are sprouting out of the causal. Causal is basically seed. Cause of what? Cause of this. And in waking state, you, the same consciousness, are now experiencing this causal body, this subtle body, this physical body, and it's revealing a physical universe. This is what's going on. What's waking state? This. What's the dream state? This. What's the deep sleep state? This. But what's reality? This. None of this. Yes? This, you can answer this here. Where is reflected consciousness? In the subtle body. Who has a subtle body? The clue for you should be this. Prana. Life. Anything that you consider to be living must have a subtle body. Yes. They get moksha. Look at the question. Who will get moksha? All questions can be answered by this diagram. Who will get moksha? Will Brahman get moksha? It's the jiva which gets moksha. Will subtle body get moksha? It cannot. It's matter. It's not even real. Suppose I, the actor, am acting as the emperor, wearing the clothes of the emperor. Who will get moksha? Will I, the actor, get moksha? I am already the actor. Will the clothes get moksha? No, the clothes don't need moksha. So, the body will not get moksha, it will just die. It will die one day. That's all. It's born, it will die. You stick to your own experience, nothing beyond your own experience. Body will not get moksha. The mind will go on from this body to the next body. So you can explain what is punarjanma, multiple lives, birth and rebirth. What dies? Physical body. What will go on to the next life? So consciousness remaining constant, the subtle body and causal body together will go on to the next life, carrying with it the reflection of consciousness. So what travels? Careful here. Causal body and subtle body travels. Physical body does not travel between one life and the other. It will travel only in this physical world, here. And then it will die. Where will it go? Back to here, cactus and mountain. That's where it came from. Yeah, how many people have been buried all around us? Where are they now? Cactus and mountain. But we are not that. What will happen to this? It's like the mirror. Once you can shift, in a barber shop can take the mirror, take it and put it here. Now what will happen to the reflected face? If you feel it has traveled from here to there. But what will happen to you? You're just the same. You're sitting in the barber shop chair for a haircut. Where did your reflected face go? From here to there. Because the mirror was shifted. What's the mirror? This. And this also. This shifts. Who will get moksha? Answer these questions one by one. These are deep questions. This diagram is especially useful. Who will get moksha? Consciousness, pure consciousness, Atman, Brahman doesn't need moksha. That's why Shankaracharya sings. Na dharmo, na chartho, na kamo, na moksha. No moksha. I don't want pleasure, I don't want power and money, I don't want heaven also. I don't want moksha also. Why? Because this doesn't need moksha. It is infinite existence consciousness. It is Satchidananda. What moksha will it get? Freedom from what? It's always free. Mind, body, subtle body, causal body cannot get moksha. They are part of material nature. In any case, they are appearances. They are superimposed on that. What freedom will they get? Who will get moksha? Who has ignorance? Person. Who is the person here? The whole thing, this unholy mixture of the whole thing. This is a very peculiar combination of reality and non-reality. Who will get moksha? The false snake or the real rope? It's the rope snake which will get moksha. Which is the rope snake? This is the rope, this is the snake. The rope snake will get moksha. You will realize that I am this. Moment you realize that I am this, then you have got moksha. Because it always is in moksha. It is freedom itself. You will sing like Shankaracharya, na dharmo, na chartho, na kamo, na moksha. I don't want dharma, I don't want pleasure, I don't want wealth, I don't want moksha. Alright. What other questions? Yes, I'll come to you.
All
causal body. How are we? You said there are many causal bodies. How do you distinguish between one causal body and another?
Yes, how do you distinguish between one causal body and another causal body? How do you distinguish between physical bodies? Very clear. You can see. There are so many physical bodies. How do you distinguish between minds? Because all the minds are constituted differently. Look how different our personalities are, opinions are. Clearly we have different minds. Thoughts, emotions, memories, our personal journeys are different. Our real personality lies in the mind and influenced by the body. But this causal body, how is it different? Because the seeds it contains are different for each of us. When the physical body dies, the subtle body goes back. It's like a deep sleep. It goes back into this. And then the causal body carrying within the seeds of the subtle body, if it goes to heaven or hell or something like that, there will be some experiences. And then when it goes to, is born in a human birth, in time, some of those seeds will manifest as a mind and the personality will continue. Consciousness is always shining on it. It's one consciousness. See, these physical bodies are many. So subtle bodies are many. Causal bodies are many because it contains the peculiar seeds of each person, the samskaras and the past karma also. So this is different for each of us. Our destinies, that's why, are different. Our constitutions, personalities are different. But behind it, the consciousness is one. We are all one consciousness.
Can you call it vasanas?
Vasanas are different. Yeah, vasanas are there. Yes.
My question is with the causal mind and you said Ishvara. Ishvara is like a cosmic mind.
Ishvara, look, are you the individual mind? You will say, well, I am the body plus mind, and since you are insisting on it, the causal body, I am pure consciousness. Then now you extend this to Ishvara. What is the conception of God in Vedanta? It is this pure consciousness, not part of it, more of it, less of it, just that. Plus all causal bodies, all subtle bodies, all physical bodies. If you say, is Ishvara cosmic mind? I will ask you, are you just single mind? You will say, no, I am physical body plus mind plus causal body and this Atman Brahman, whatever you say. I am really Atman Brahman. Right now I don't know that because of the activity of this veiling power in the causal body, and I just am aware of this. See, basically, here onwards, causal body onwards up to the external universe is something that we are all agreed upon. This is our present experience. One should be quite clear that I am experiencing all of these now, right now. In your waking state, you have a physical body, you have a universe which you inhabit, and you have a mind, thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, and you have a causal body. This is what we experience now. Vedanta is just telling us one more thing, this. Vedanta agrees, it signs off on what you are experiencing, all of this. You need not experience anything more. It will just tell you that all of which you are experiencing is a superimposition and appearance in this. Just like all the dreams that whatever you dream is an appearance in something called a dreamer. So, what is a dreamer? Where is the dreamer? Nowhere. On the bed, relaxing and dreaming this up.
I just wanted to follow up on
Yes.
that question. So Ishvara, because I'm not confused, like Ishvara, God. So if that's the cosmic mind.
No, again, you say cosmic mind.
So the cosmic everything.
Cosmic everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Ishvara should be the enlightened one, technically, right?
Ishvara is always enlightened. But there are other enlightened ones also.
Why, once you're enlightened, you merge, per se, with, or you one with the Brahman, which
Yes.
you already are.
Yes.
But my question is, why is Ishvara then taken as like in body form, like the concept of Ishvara, where in that diagram is
Yes.
Ishvara?
Ishvara is pure consciousness plus all causal bodies. That's the concept of Ishvara. And pure consciousness plus all causal bodies is called Saguna Brahman or Brahman with qualities, with attributes. And then Ishvara is also pure consciousness plus all subtle causal bodies plus all subtle bodies. That means what you just said, cosmic mind. And Ishvara is also pure consciousness, all causal bodies, all subtle bodies, and all physical bodies taken together. Imagine you have awareness and control over this one body. and everybody else is an other to you. Imagine if you had awareness and control over all minds and all bodies. Not only now, not only human beings, animals, plants, if there are gods and angels in heaven, all of them, if there are demons in hell, all of them taken together. The one consciousness shining through all of that. It's like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. He says to Krishna in the 11th chapter, he says that, I believe it, you are an incarnation of God. So what is the incarnation of God? That Ishvara, if it chooses, as it does once in a while, to manifest amongst us as with a physical body. It can do that because the causal body of Ishvara, which is Maya, actually has projected the entire universe. What's it to project one more body? One more mind and body. So it will appear to us as the avatar. Yes, as the avatar. And it has a divine subtle body and of course the special divine causal body, but it's basically Ishwar and it's full awareness that I am God and I'm here as Jesus, as Rama, as Krishna to uplift humanity, to take them forward on their spiritual path. What else did I want to say? Yeah. Questions? Yes, I'll come to you.
So this is for my limited understanding, but prana is supposed to be the life force and grants existence. How do you distinguish that from consciousness, which is just existence? And why have a separate category, if you will, of something that also gives existence to something else?
Prana gives existence, it sustains this physical body. It doesn't lend existence to it. Remember, when prana is withdrawn from the physical body, what will happen to the physical body? It still continue to exist. You just call it a dead body. Dead body exists. That's what you bury. After some time you will call it a cactus. But what gives existence to everything? Including prana itself. Will say prana exists? Of course it does. Life exists. But what gives existence to life? Life is one more thing. It's an entity. Just like this is an entity. The shirt is an entity. The body is an entity. So life is the most evident sign of life, breath. That's why breath only is not just prana. Prana is deeper than breath. Breath is the most obvious manifestation of prana. But it's clearly a thing. You might say, well, how do you define a thing? How do you define a thing? Anything that you are aware of is a thing. An object to your consciousness. Are you aware of prana? Are you aware of breathing? You better be. The entire mindfulness industry depends on you. Breathe in and you are aware that you are breathing in, breathe out. So breath is a thing. Breath doesn't give existence to anything. When you say prana gives existence to the body or the mind, it just energizes and makes it a living body mind. That's what prana is. It's like a battery pack.
So life is separate from isness.
Yes. Or rather, isness is separate from life. Isness is there in a dead body also. No life. Isness is there in the rock. Doesn't the rock exist? Very much so. Doesn't the universe, physical, the planet exist? Yes, very much so. Do living bodies exist? Yes. But the living bodies are the unique. This body, that body, they have the unique feature of having prana, life force. Yes.
So you mentioned about the veiling power in the causal body. So would that be the primary seat of ignorance?
Yes. Yes. So this is the primary seat of ignorance. We'll all come to that very soon. It does two things. The total causal body, which is Maya, it does two things. It veils consciousness. From whom? From us, this being. So that's why we are aware of the cactus, the world out there. We are aware of the avatar also. We are aware of our own body. We are aware of our thoughts and feelings and emotions. And we are sort of quote-unquote aware of the blackness in deep sleep. Nothing more. It veils the reality, consciousness from us. And it projects that consciousness as this. So two things it does. Maya, it has two powers. Avarana Vikshepa. Avarana means veiling, Vikshepa means projection or distortion.
So the cosmic level there is veiling as well, so like the summation of cosmic bodies which
Yes, there's two powers, veiling and projection. But remember, this veiling and projection applies to us. We are the end users, the consumers. But the producer is Ishvara, this consciousness plus the entire, this power of Maya. So the veiling power does not act on Ishvara, not the projecting power. Ishvara is forever enlightened. Ishvara knows I am Brahman. Ishvara means God. Knows I am Brahman forever. And eternally enlightened. And Ishvara is not bewildered by this projection. Ishvara knows I am all this. Because Ishvara alone is appearing as all of this. Always enlightened. We are under the spell of this. And because when we become enlightened, when you become enlightened, then you will get a little halo. And the veiling power will no longer work. What will happen? The veiling power will no longer work. You will see all of this, as pure consciousness. You see, this is an analytic diagram. All of this is together. And this is based on this. If I drew a proper diagram of what it is, I will have to draw like this. Not like this, but I will have to draw consciousness like this. All of this is appearing on the screen of consciousness. Okay, we will go on for a few more minutes, 11:15, and then we will assemble at 11:30. We have a 15-minute break. Yes, the gentleman there and there.
And the concept of I am, is that, I guess I am is which part of the diagram?
Yes, the I am, what does it refer to? It really refers to this. But right now when we say I am, it refers to this one, the ego, I. So we spend a lot of time distinguishing the real I am from this one. But to say that I am also, you will need the mind and the intellect and the body and all of that. But it points back to this. I didn't complete one thought. Arjuna asked Krishna, I believe that you are an avatar. So that's where we got stuck. Arjuna asked Krishna, I believe you are an avatar, that you are an incarnation of God, but I want to see you as God. They're asking, what is God in this? I want to see you as God. And then the famous sequence in the 11th chapter, when Krishna says, alright, I will give you this divine vision where you can see me as God. Not just as Krishna, but as all of it together. What do you mean by all of it? We are seeing this universe in slices. Right now I'm seeing this, but I'm not seeing anything outside. I'm not seeing, Los Angeles or New York. So we're seeing the universe in slices. But imagine if we could see it all together in one go. What would it be like? All living beings, all 7 billion of them, human beings, all other living beings, billions and trillions of them, all those who lived in the past, who will live in the future, and all non-living things also, all together with one consciousness, one being. I sometimes say that, the good example is, in public speaking, we get scared when we are in front of everybody. A psychologist said, actually an anthropologist, he said, the reason we get scared is in the animal kingdom, staring is a sign of aggression. So animals, when they fight, they will stare at each other. Normally we don't stare at each other. When we talk to each other, we look and look away. We don't lock eyes with the other person. So usually it's a sign of aggression. And if you stare at a dog straight, the dog will look up at you, look away. After some time, it will either get up uncomfortable, walk away, or it will growl at you. Fight or flight. That's one person. But in an audience like this, when you are speaking to a live audience gathering, 100 people are staring at you. No, they are not being aggressive. They just want to listen to they want to hear what you have to say. But the animal brain doesn't understand all of that. Doesn't understand retreat, workshop, audience. It just understands aggression and the basic instincts. So there are 100 pairs, 100 others staring at you. The reaction is of tension. That's why there is what is called stage fright. Stage fright. People get scared. But imagine, if not 100 people, if 1,000 people are staring at you. The biggest audience that I ever faced was in Belur Mutt, approximately 14,000 people. It's a youth retreat. So 14,000 people. But Arjuna faced something much more terrifying than that. Imagine all the human beings in the world right now, 7 billion plus, all beings across the world, and all animals, lower and higher, and all tactile also, and all the gods in heavens and all the demons of hell, all of them taken together, all together in one being, and it stands up and looks at you. How will you feel? Arjuna says, every hair in my body is standing on its end. The very earth shakes. My hands and feet are turned cold. Then he said, my mouth is parched. He's terrified. He asked for this vision. It didn't do him much good. He just got scared out of his wits. And he said, I don't want to see that. I just want to see you back in your form as Krishna. And that being must have shrugged, all right, and back to Krishna. Right now it's in the news because of a movie called Oppenheimer. Yes. So Oppenheimer, when he saw the explosion of the test of the atom bomb, the first atom bomb explosion, he chanted from the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, that I come as time, the destroyer of worlds. Kalos. Anyway, yes.
Well, just for completeness sake, where do you put, what components of these will a rock have, or a plant have, or a life?
Yes. So we are taking one by one. What components of this will a rock have? So suppose mountain. Suppose there is no life there. What is this mountain in this whole thing? For that you have to go back to Vedantic cosmology. And it's all borrowed from the Upanishads, especially influenced by Sankhya cosmology. What does Vedanta say about it? It says, I'll quote the original text. Tasmad va etasmad atmanaha. From that Brahman, which is this Atman, Akasha Sambhutaha, space appeared. How did space appear from Atman? Because of Maya, Atman itself, consciousness itself was projected as space. Not so difficult to imagine because we do it every time in our dreams. So space appeared. And what happened then? Akasha Sambhuta, Akashat, Vayu, Agner, Apa, Adhya, Prithvihi. So space, air, fire, water, earth, they all were projected. Then what happened? So this is all Chandogya Upanishad and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and others. So those 5 elements, they combined together to form the mind, the subtle bodies, various kinds of subtle bodies, the cosmic mind. So you see, this creation is inside out. And then what happened? Those subtle elements, after creating the subtle universe, combined together in certain proportions. There is something called Panchikaranam, the quintuplication. I am not going into that. So certain processes are described. You may need not take it too seriously. If you want to, you can, or you can rely on modern science. Somehow those subtle elements, they combine together to form what are called gross elements or Mahabhuta, Pancha Mahabhuta, the physical earth, air, space, fire which we experience. And those combine to form the bodies of living beings and the planets and their constituent rocks and mountains and rivers and oceans and the atmosphere and all of that. So if you ask me, what is this? A combination of 5 physical elements, air, water, space, fire, earth. Not just earth, all of them.
Do they have subtle body?
No.
So they just causal body?
No, they don't have causal body either. So it is consciousness which has projected the 5 elements, the mixtures of the 5 elements. Yeah, in a sense you can say causal body. They don't. Body means some conscious being has a body, so we don't say they have bodies. They are material things, they're things, objects, and they are made of 5 elements. Our bodies are also made of 5 elements. They are bodies. They contain something within, a sentient being.
But the virus and plants, starting from there,
they'll have subtle bodies. There's a jiva there. There's no jiva as such here.
There's a space for prana to work.
Yeah. So prana, mana, all this, the subtle body will be there. Also, this. So the physical universe is more like a stage on which all the jivas can act and interact, a playground. Gentlemen, that you had a question.
So when we wake up in the morning, before the adhyasa, body, mind.
The adhyasa is always there. In deep sleep also adhyasa is there. Just nothing is projected. Only the ajnana, this causal body, is superimposed on you, the consciousness.
But when we wake up,
what happens is the subtle body emerges from the causal body.
Emerges, but it doesn't have any attributes, right? We don't have a sense of body, mind, thoughts.
At the first moment, it will reflect consciousness and you will feel I am. The tiniest moment. And then all the, the past conditioning will come up and you will feel, oh, I am in bed, I have to get up and to go to office and all of that you will feel.
Right, so that I am, where does this fall here in the I?
This one, ego.
The same.
The real I am is this, always present. It's not dependent on waking, it will all come out. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep, they all pertain to this ego, not to the real I am. So many questions, so I should have drawn this diagram earlier. the gentleman in the back. Yes.
Yeah, how do we prove that that I am, or individual I am, is the same in everybody?
Yes. How do you prove that this I am is particular, the ego is particular to this fellow? A cactus will have a separate I. Don't think I, because the subtle body, the mind and intellect are not active in the cactus. Why not? If there is a subtle body? Because it depends on the hardware. What apps will work or not. If you downgrade the hardware, many apps will not work. So the same subtle body may be present in a dog's body, in a cactus body, but it will not function. It will not come to the Vedanta retreat. Because many things don't function. It's just living for a time being, for a long time, cactus in fact. So how is the one I am in all, the real I am in all bodies? So it's a big question. Is it one consciousness in all? Sankhya will say no. According to Sankhya, it's a dualistic philosophy. We are all separate beings. We are all pure consciousness, but separate pure consciousness. I am a limitless awareness, you are another limitless awareness. So in Sanskrit it's called Bahupurushavada, many consciousnesses. But Advaita doesn't accept that. Advaita says it is one consciousness in all living beings. This one consciousness is reflected in the minds of all living beings. It's like one sun in the sky and you have many pots of water. The pot is like the physical body. The water is like the subtle body. And in each water you will get a little reflected consciousness. And it will feel, I am this water and pot. But really the sun is common to all of them. The pots are different, the water in each of the pots is different, and the little reflected sun in each of the pots is different, but the common source is one sun. Again, example. You must know where the example doesn't apply. Because in the example, the sun is separate, it's away up there in the sky, the pots are all separate, the water is all separate, the little dots of light in each one of them separate. But here, it's one consciousness in which all of this is appearing. Kshetragyam chaprimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. In 13th chapter, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, O Bharata, these are all fields. This is a field, the cactus is a field, the human body is a field. These are all fields, and in each field is a knower. I am the knower of the field. But how many knowers of the fields are there? We would normally think, as many fields, so many knowers of the field. Apparently so. The ego will be different in each. But Krishna says, I am the one knower in all fields. So what is he referring to? Not the ego. Egos are different. But consciousness behind them all is one. We ask, what was the argument for it? Now that, it will take time. We have really run out of time. We're cutting into the next session's time. I will tell you briefly in 2 sentences. Sankhya says that no, we are different consciousnesses. Every sentient being is different consciousness. It's a different I am. Advaita will say it's one. How? Advaita will throw the question back at the Sankhya. Why do you say that consciousness is different? Because bodies, if you count, clearly you can see they are different. Minds also you can understand are different. And if the minds are different, the seed state of the mind, the causal body also will be different. But beyond the causal body, beyond the physical body, the subtle body and causal body, the one consciousness, why would it be many? How would you differentiate consciousness from consciousness? Then the Sankhya comes up with many arguments which it's very easy to dismiss. If consciousness is one, then the death of one should be the death of all. If I die, the cactus will also die? No, obviously not. Death is death of the physical body. This physical body is born and will die at some time. That body was born and will die at some other time. This body was born at some time and will die at some other time. Death of the body has nothing to do with birth or death of consciousness. Then another doubt will be, suppose if consciousness is the same, if one is awake, everyone will be awake. If one falls asleep, everyone will fall asleep. That's also not true. Waking and sleeping are at the subtle body, mind level, not consciousness. If one falls asleep and everyone will fall asleep, that's very dangerous, especially in Vedanta class. So somebody is sleeping all the time. Another objection, the Sankhya will say, well, if one becomes enlightened, then all will become enlightened. If my guru becomes enlightened, then I will also become enlightened. No. Where is enlightenment? In the mind. Not in consciousness. Not in the physical body. It's in the mind. Ignorance is in the mind, and this acts on the mind. And enlightenment is in the mind. The chitta, it is in the intellect, basically. Yeah, it comes from here to the intellect. The subtlest, the ignorance becomes obvious in the intellect, but it's there beyond the intellect. All right. We will wrap up because we have really gone up. Yeah, tell me the questions.
It's limitless. You have to acknowledge there's only part of it.
Yes, but the question will be, why do you think it's limitless? That's the big question. And that's the charge of the Advaitins against the Sankhyans. Swami Vivekananda points this out again and again. You Sankhyan's say the Purusha, consciousness, pure consciousness is limitless, infinite. How many infinites are there? How many infinites can there be? Can there be an infinity of infinites? In mathematics it's possible, because we talk about different kinds of infinites. But in Advaita, in philosophy, the real infinite will have to be only one. If there's anything other than that infinite, it will limit that infinite. Infinite means limitless. Now if you say something is outside that limitless, then there's a limit to this limitlessness. It cannot truly be infinite. If you say truly, truly infinite, and there's a technical definition of that also. I like this. It's beautiful because you brought it up. What did we just do, you know? There are layers and layers in this kind of discussion. What did we just do in the verses 5, 6, 7? We did verse number 8 just now. So up to 7. I am non-dual, I am all-pervading, I am eternal. The definition of Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahman is infinite existence consciousness. But the word infinite, in Sanskrit it is Anantam. Anta means limit. Ananta means limitless. The question arises, what is a limit? In Sanskrit, in Vedanta, limits are Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda. Time limit, space limit, time limit, object limit. What's the space limit? You are here and not there. This is the limitation of Casa, the retreat. Beyond this is not the Casa. This is the limitation of Phoenix. Beyond this is not Phoenix. It's limited in space. Even the Earth is limited in space. Even the galaxy is limited in space. So it has a beginning and an end in space. But if something is limitless, then it will have no limitation in space. What is no limitation in space? All pervading. Everywhere. There is nowhere that Brahman is not. So Brahman has to be all pervading. In Sanskrit, Sarvapriyananda. Limitation in time. What is limitation in time? It has a beginning and an end. Unlike this class. Beginning and no end. Little end. Little end. Beginning and an end. People are born and they die. Sometimes very short lifespan, within seconds some creatures are there, myriads maybe, and some live much longer. Objects are produced and destroyed, created and destroyed, even stars and galaxies. So it's got a limitation in time. Before this it was not there, and after this it will not be there. Before birth did not exist, after death it will not exist. Limitation in time. Suppose, now Brahman has no limitation in time. If something has no limitation in time, what does it mean? There was never a time that it does not exist. No question of birth. There will never a time when it will not exist. No question of death. This is called Nityam, eternal. No limit in time means eternal. And then object limitation. This is an interesting one. What's an object limitation? Everything is just itself and different from everything else. This is a pen. It's different from a human being. It's different from a shirt. It's different from the roof. It's different from the clock. It's different, in fact, from every other entity in the universe, including other pens. So this is it's called an object limitation. Vastu paricheda. In logic, it's called identity. A is A, and everything else is not A. That's how we deal with this universe. Otherwise, it would be impossible to deal with the universe. Everything is an identity. That's why you have real ID. But now they have to get real ID. Get a unique thing which identifies you as a unique object. But suppose, so what's this object limitation? Every object is itself and nothing else. Separate from everything else. Everything else is separate from it. If a thing does not have an object limitation, Brahman is limitless. So it has no vastu paricheda, object limitation. If a thing has no object limitation, what will happen? There will be nothing separate from it. Nothing in the universe will be separate from it. If Brahman has no object limitation, Brahman is such a thing where nothing in the universe is separate from it. No thing is separate from it. Nothing is a countable second apart from it. No second, non-dual, Advaita. So when you say Brahman is limitless, you mean three things. It is all-pervading, Sarvapriyananda. It is eternal, Nityam. It is non-dual, Advaita. Isn't this that what we just proved? We have just proved that you are infinite. Okay, we'll stop now. There is no end to this.